Hello friends, this is the second lecture of our thyroid hormone series. So in this lecture we are going to understand the different actions of the thyroid hormone. So the first action is the calorigenic action. Second one is the effect of thyroid hormone in normal body growth. Third one is the effect on nervous tissue development, and the last one is the effect on various other system. So starting with the first, the calorigenic action. Now what thyroid hormone do? Thyroid hormone is basically increase the metabolism of all over the body. So it is increase the basal metabolic rate BMR. And how it will increase the BMR? Thyroid hormone will increase the BMR by increasing the cellular metabolic activity of most of the cell, not all the cell, most of the cell, except brain, testis, uterus, lymph node, spleen, and anterior pituitary. If you have no pen and paper, then write it down. Thyroid hormone will increase the cellular metabolic activity of all the cell in our body except brain, testis, uterus, lymph node, spleen, and anterior pituitary. By increasing cellular metabolic activity is increase the rate of oxygen consumption in the most of the tissue. So basically thyroid hormone is going to increase the heat production in most of the tissue. This figure is from the Ghost Rider. As you can see, person is burning inside. Same thing will happen in the person having a hyperthyroidism. It has a more amount of heat production and it will leads to heat intolerance. Now here comes the question, how thyroid hormone is going to actually increase the cellular metabolic activity. So first thing first, thyroid hormone, it will increase the number and activity of mitochondria inside the cell. So by increasing the number and activity of the mitochondria, thyroid hormone is increase the rate of the ATP synthesis. Now here's the catch. If the thyroid hormone is in normal level, then it will causes increase the rate of ATP synthesis. But in high amount of thyroid hormone, it will causes uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation process. What it will do? It in high thyroid hormone, it causes the uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation process. Now what this process will do? It will couple the oxidative process with the formation of the ATP. So by uncoupling oxidative process with the phosphorylation, it causes more amount of heat production rather than the ATP synthesis. Now how it causes the uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation? By using the protein known as uncoupling protein. The short form is UCP. So basically there are three different type of UCP, 1, 2 and 3. UCP1 is basically present in brown adipose tissue, 2 and 3 in the cardiac cell. So write it down somewhere. UCP1 for the brown adipose tissue, UCP2 and 3 in the cardiac cell. Now this UCP, in some books it is written as a name thermogenin, and this thermogenin name is designed for UCP1, the brown adipose tissue. So by activating this UCP or thermogenin, more heat will be produced and very little of ATP will produce. Why more heat and little ATP? Because of uncoupling of oxidative process with the phosphorylation process. Second thing, what the thyroid hormone do? It will increase the synthesis and activity of sodium potassium ATPase pump. And you guys know that sodium potassium ATPase pump use the ATP, use the energy, and by using this energy, increasing activity of sodium potassium pump, thyroid hormone is increase the metabolic rate because it increase the energy consumption by this pump. And the third action of the thyroid hormone is it increase the synthesis of all the proteins, enzymatic protein, structural protein and functional protein. So basically thyroid hormone increase the cellular metabolic activity by three things. One is it doing uncoupling of oxidative and phosphorylation. Second one is increase synthesis of the sodium potassium pump, and third one is the synthesis of the different kind of proteins, whether it is enzymatic protein, whether it is structural protein, whether it is functional protein. Now in this functional protein there might be a pump, there might be a channel, anything. Now the next one is effect on vitamins. As you guys know, the vitamins basically used in various enzymatic process. So thyroid hormone is going to use the number of the enzyme. So vitamin are basically the essential for the action of the enzyme. So what will happen when there is an increased amount of thyroid hormone? there is an increased need of the vitamins, and ultimately it is going to vitamin deficiency. Now, what will happen in the hypothyroidism? In hypothyroidism, one condition is frequently asked, and you guys have to know that condition. It is known as a keratonemia. The condition name is keratonemia. Now, you guys might be wondering then what is keratonemia? Let's understand what is keratonemia. Now, thyroid hormone is basically necessary for conversion of keratin to vitamin A. See, whenever you consume a vitamin A containing vegetables, there are basically keratin in it, and this keratin will be converted into the vitamin A. This conversion requires thyroid hormone. So, in case of hypothyroidism, what will happen? There is an accumulation of the keratin in the blood. No more keratin will be converted into vitamin A. So, ultimately, that higher amount of keratin inside the blood, that condition is known as kerotinemia. Now, what will happen in kerotinemia? In kerotinemia, there is a yellowish tint of the skin. It is more or less same as jaundice. The person's look pink. The person looks yellow. The difference between the kerotinemia and the jaundice is that in case of jaundice, there is a yellowish discoloration of the sclera as well, while in case of the kerotinemia, this yellowish discoloration of the sclera is not there. So it is distinguished from the jaundice by in kerotinemia sclera are not yellow. Alright, this is the difference between kerotinemia and the jaundice. So if you see a person having a yellowish discoloration of his body, you have to first check for the sclera, right? If the sclera is yellow, then it is jaundice. If the sclera is not yellow and it is still white, then it is kerotinemia. Person is suffering from hypothyroidism. Instant diagnosis. Now let's see the role in the normal body growth. Now thyroid hormone is basically exert their effect mainly during the childhood. It do this effect by two things. One is directly, another one is indirectly. Now directly it will increase the protein synthesis and enzymatic process that we are already discussed in our previous slides, and indirectly it increases the production of the growth hormone. So by increasing the production of the growth hormone, it promotes the growth, and it also increases the bone development and teeth development. So basically the development of the bone, the epiphyseal usage of the epiphysis, lengthening of the diaphysis, all the things remain same as in the growth hormone. It increases the development of the bone. So role in the normal body growth. Let's discuss the role in the normal body growth. What happens if there is a hypothyroidism? What happens if there is a hyperthyroidism? Alright. Let's see what happens in hypothyroidism. So in hypothyroidism, as we know that the thyroid hormone is responsible for the growth and the bone and teeth development, the person becomes short in hypothyroidic child. So growth retardation might occur. The child remain short. In hyperthyroidism, what will happen? See, thyroid hormone is basically increase the bone development. So basically it increase the usage of the epiphysis. So in initial phase of the growth, remember my word, in initial phase of the growth of a child, epiphyses are used tremendously. So in early there is a rapid bone growth occur, and child become taller in its early age. But because of the more usage of the epiphysis, that epiphysis get close early. So actually the initially the bone growth become very high, but the actual growth or actual height of a person is remain short. Got it? How will you write it down? You have to write it down like this: rapid bone growth occur and child become taller in the early age, but bone also get matured rapidly and epiphysis close early. So duration of the growth and the height of person is actually short. This is all about the normal body growth. Now what is the role of the thyroid hormone in nervous tissue development? Now thyroid hormone is essential for the development of the CNS, the nervous system. Now this T3 is necessary for all the activity that is taking place in the CNS for the developmental purpose. So first thing first, the axon. See, in this neuron all the things required thyroid hormone for normal synthesis. See, the axon Axon require proliferation, it require thyroid hormone. Branching of the dendrites, it will require thyroid hormone. Then synapse, it is also required thyroid hormone. So thyroid hormone is basically necessary for axonal proliferation. Second thing is branching of the dendrites. Third, the myelination is also required thyroid hormone. And the last one is synaptogenesis. The synthesis of the synapse is also required thyroid hormone. So in nutshell, thyroid hormone is responsible for entire nervous tissue development, starting from the dendrites, then axon, then myelination, then the synaptogenesis. Right? Now, highly dependent portion in our brain, write it down. Highly dependent portion of our brain that is dependent on thyroid hormone are the cortex, cerebral cortex, basal ganglia, and cochlea. These three are the highly dependent to the growth hormone, the thyroid hormone for its growth. So if there is a less amount of thyroid hormone in the early childhood, the CNS development will not be taking place and mental retardation occur in the children that have hypothyroidism, right? And the critical period of the nervous system development is the first year. And here's the thing, a person with hyperthyroidism, this is all about the hypothyroidism. What happens when the person having hyperthyroidism? That person is extremely nervous and have many psychoneurotic tendencies such as anxiety complexes, and person is suffering from the, let's say, the extreme amount of worries and even paranoia. Now the action of the thyroid hormone on the other system, the effect on metabolism, effect on CVS, respiratory system, basal metabolic rate that we have already discussed, GIT, muscle, sleep. Starting with our first discussion, the effect on metabolism. We are going to learn in three metabolism: carbohydrate, fat, and protein, obviously. Now, starting with the carbohydrate, what is the effect of thyroid hormone over the carbohydrate metabolism? See, thyroid hormone will increase all the aspect of carbohydrate metabolism. Why? Because thyroid hormone is basically increase the cellular metabolic activity, so it will require energy. So thyroid hormone do all the necessary things that it will provide more amount of glucose inside the circulation. What thyroid hormone do? It will increase all the aspect of carbohydrate metabolism, starting from the absorption of the carbohydrate from the GIT. So what thyroid hormone do? It will increase the glucose absorption from the GIT. Second thing, once the glucose is inside the circulation, it increase the uptake of glucose by the cell. So it increase uptake of the glucose. If that glucose is not that much enough, then it is also increase the gluconeogenesis. It will increase the synthesis of new glucose, and after that it will increase the glucose usage, increase glycolysis, and all these things, it leads to increased glucose level inside the circulation. So ultimately it is going to stimulate the insulin, so it increases the insulin secretion as well. This is all about the effect of thyroid hormone over the carbohydrate metabolism. Now let's see the effect of thyroid hormone over the fat metabolism. Now fat, as we know, it is the major source of the energy, right? So thyroid hormone, this is the word from the Guyton, is essentially increase all aspect of the fat metabolism, right? Thyroid hormone essentially increase all the aspect of the fat metabolism. See, essentially all the aspect, it means that there are some aspect that is still not increase, right? That aspect is synthesis of the fat. See, in case of the carbohydrate metabolism, thyroid hormone is going to increase the gluconeogenesis, while in this case thyroid hormone is not going to increase lipogenesis. You got it? So that's why the word essential is used over here by in Guyton. This essentially word is not used in carbohydrate metabolism. So what actually this thyroid hormone will do to the fat metabolism? It basically increase the mobilization of the fat from the adipose tissue. It increase the mobilization of the fat from the adipose tissue, and it will increase the free fatty acid inside the plasma. Once the free fatty acid is present in higher amount, see, this is the adipose tissue, it will increase the translocation of the fat or increase mobilization of the fat from the adipose tissue and ultimately inside the plasma, inside the circulation. And this free fatty acid will somehow reach to the liver and going to get oxidized. So it will leads to increase oxidation of the fatty acid by the cell, and by doing this it will basically decrease the fat storage. Got it? Now what will happen when there is a higher amount or lower amount of thyroid hormone to the this fat metabolism? So if there is a higher amount of thyroid hormone inside the circulation, it will decrease the cholesterol, it will decrease the phospholipid, and it will decrease the triglyceride level. So exactly opposite thing will be happens when there is a low amount of thyroid hormone inside the circulation, that is increase cholesterol, phospholipid, and triglyceride. Now here's the question, what will happen if there is increased cholesterol, increased phospholipid, increased triglyceride? All these three things will be associated with atherosclerosis, and you know what happened in atherosclerosis, right? There is a deposition of the fat over the blood vessel and causes excessive deposition of the fat over the blood vessel. Now how this thyroid hormone causes this decrease in cholesterol? This is the most important one. How the thyroid hormone decrease the blood cholesterol level? Let's see that thing. Let me show you a figure. Don't get confused with its complexity. Just follow my leads. I am going to guide you in this figure. See, this yellow colored portion is the liver cell. See, it is a hepatocyte. Got it? And this bluish color portion is the extracellular fluid, and these dots that are present over this hepatocyte are the LDL receptor. Now you can see that there is one molecule, that is LDL, and cholesterol ester attached to it, right? Inside this LDL molecule. So what thyroid hormone will do? Thyroid hormone will increase the number of the LDL receptor, and by increasing the LDL receptor, it will causes more amount of LDL molecule to get endocytosed and get processed. Got it? So what the thyroid hormone do? Thyroid hormone is basically increase the LDL receptor inside the liver, and it will lead to rapid removal of the LDL from the plasma. This is one thing. Second thing, it will increase the cholesterol excretion in bile. So what happens of that cholesterol that is actually present inside the LDL, once reach to the hepatocyte, what the hepatocyte will do? It increase the excretion of that cholesterol into the bile. Now once the cholesterol is excreted into the bile, ultimately it is going to excreted in feces and causes decrease cholesterol level. This is the diagram showing that the actual route of the bile excretion, right, from the liver, from the hepatocyte. Sometime it is stored in the gallbladder, some portion it will store in the gallbladder, and once it will be needed, when the bile is needed, it is going to go through this channel known as the common bile duct, then the ampulla of water, and will be released in the second part of the duodenum, right? This is all about how thyroid hormone will decrease the cholesterol. Now let's see the effect on CVS, cardiovascular system. First, enumerate what it will cause to the cardiovascular system. Thyroid hormone causes increased blood flow and ultimately increased cardiac output. Second thing, it will increase the heart rate. And the last one, it increases the strength of the heart. Now let's discuss one by one how the thyroid hormone is going to increase blood flow and cardiac output. As we know already that thyroid hormone is ultimately leads to increased metabolism of the tissue. This increased metabolism of the tissue, it will going to utilize more amount of oxygen by the tissue. So by using more amount of the oxygen by tissue, the tissue will be produced metabolic waste product and vasodilator substance, right? You guys going to learn this, you guys already learn in the CVS thing, right? So by increase utilization of more amount of the oxygen, ultimately there is a more production of the metabolic waste product and vasodilator substance, and this leads to vasodilatation of the blood vessel, and ultimately it leads to increased blood flow. So once the local blood flow increase, the actual summation of the local blood flow will leads to venous return, and this venous return will increase, and ultimately this venous return will become the cardiac output. So this is how the thyroid hormone will increase the cardiac output. Now the effect of the blood pressure. Now this one is a little bit of trickier, the effect of blood pressure and the thyroid hormone. See what the thyroid hormone do. Thyroid hormone causes increased systolic blood pressure. Now how it will increase systolic blood pressure? The answer is two. One is the increased cardiac output. You see, you guys already know that the cardiac output has a direct relationship with the systolic blood pressure, right? So it increases the systolic blood pressure due to increased cardiac output. And the other thing that it will, thyroid hormone causes increased myocardial contractility, that we discuss in our subsequent slides. So basically it increases the heart strength. So this is how it will increase the systolic blood pressure. Now what will happen to the diastolic blood pressure? It actually the reverse that is happen to the systolic blood pressure. Diastolic blood pressure is going to get decreased. How this diastolic blood pressure is decreased? The reason is that due to excessive oxygen usage, it will leads to more amount of release of the metabolic waste product and release of the vasodilator substance that we already discussed in our previous slide, right? This vasodilator substance, once it's released, it causes vasodilatation, and this vasodilatation ultimately leads to decreased peripheral resistance, and this peripheral resistance is directly proportional to the blood pressure, this diastolic blood pressure. So by decreasing the PR, it will decreasing the diastolic blood pressure. Now what will happen to the pulse pressure? Obviously pulse pressure is going to get increased. You guys already know what's the pulse pressure is, right? Pulse pressure is equal to systolic minus diastolic blood pressure. If the systolic is more, diastolic is become less, then pulse pressure is going to get increased, and the mean blood pressure is remain more or less normal. Now how the thyroid hormone affect the heart? What the thyroid hormone do to the heart? See, first enumerate what it will do. Thyroid hormone causes positive chronotropic and positive inotropic action. Now what is positive chronotropic action? Positive chronotropic action means it will increase the heart rate, and positive inotropic effect is basically increasing contractility. There are more other things that you might consider to get recall over here. One is chronotropic action, another one is dromotropic action, third one is inotropic, then bathmotropic and lucitropic. Now what is chronotropic? Chronotropic is related with the heart rate. You see in the spelling there are HR, CHR. So it is basically the heart rate. Then dromotropic action, it is basically designed for the conductivity or conduction velocity. So in dromotropic there is a spelling, it contains D. So the conduction, again there is a D, CO and D. So dromotropic is related with the conduction. Inotropic, it has a this inotropic is basically designed for contraction of the heart, and bathmotropy is for the excitability of the heart. Got it? And finally lucitropic action is basically designed, that word, for the relaxation of the heart. So whenever there is increased lucitropy, it will cause to increase relaxation. Got it? This is the quiet revision of the CVS. Now as far as the thyroid hormone is concerned, it has a positive chronotropy and positive inotropy. So basically it increase heart rate and increase contractility. It has something related with the lucitropy that we discuss in our this slide only. Now what the thyroid hormone do? How it will increase this chronotropic and how will causes inotropy? The answer is like this. It will increase the number of beta adrenergic receptor, and by doing this it causes increased response to the catecholamines. Got it? Let me repeat it one more time. It increases the number of beta adrenergic receptor, and by doing this it increases the response of the catecholamines like epinephrine and norepinephrine. Got it? And the last one is that it causes increased proportion of alpha myosin heavy chain. Now this is nothing but a myosin molecule. See, in heart there are two type of myosin molecule. One is the alpha myosin heavy chain or alpha MHC and the beta MHC. Right? So in heart there are two type of the myosin chain. One is alpha myosin chain, another one is the beta myosin chain. What is the difference between these two myosin chain? This alpha myosin chain, myosin heavy chain, has a more ATPase activity as compared to beta myosin heavy chain, right? And this alpha myosin heavy chain is predominant in atria, got it? So the remaining one is beta and remaining portion of the heart is ventricle. So the beta is more in ventricle. So what thyroid hormone will do? It will increase the beta adrenergic receptor. So by doing this, so it increase the response of the epinephrine and norepinephrine. So more amount of sympathetic activity and increase the myosin myosin heavy chain, the alpha myosin heavy chain. By doing this, it will increase the ATPase activity. So ultimately it will synergically use the sympathomimetic action of the epinephrine and norepinephrine. Got it? And what is the effect of epinephrine and norepinephrine over the heart? It is basically increase the strength of the heart, increase heart rate and increase contractility. Got it? Now the effect of thyroid hormone in gene expression. Now how this thyroid hormone will do the previously mentioned effect? So it do by enhancing or promoting some of the gene and by depressing some of the gene. So let's first enumerate what are the gene sequence that going to get promoted by thyroid hormone. These are the list of the genes that are going to get promoted or enhance its expression. First one is the gene of alpha myosin heavy chain. You guys already know the significance of the alpha myosin heavy chain. It has a more ATPase activity. Second one is sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase. Now what this calcium ATPase will do? It will causes rapid removal of the calcium from the cytoplasm inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So by increasing it, this thyroid hormone will leads to more speedily relaxation of the heart. So once the relaxation will be more speedily or more fast or rapid relaxation, it again causes more amount of contraction and heart rate, this increase in heart rate. Third one is beta adrenergic receptor. It enhances the expression of beta adrenergic receptor G protein and sodium potassium ATPase. It will increase the activity of sodium potassium ATPase pump. Now which gene sequence or which are the genes that expression going to get inhibited? These are the list of the gene sequence that are going to get inhibited. The beta myosin heavy chain that have a less amount of myosin ATPase activity, then sodium calcium exchanger, and this one, the phospholamban. What this phospholamban do? If you don't know, just listen to me. Phospholamban is a protein that is present over this structure, sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase, this sarcoplasmic reticulum. What this phospholamban do? It will inhibit this sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase. So by doing this, phospholamban is going to decrease the relaxation. It will decrease the amount of calcium that is returned inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum, SR. Let me repeat one more time. What this phospholamban do? Phospholamban will be attached to the sarcoplasmic reticulum. It will inhibit the sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase activity. So it is going to decrease the speed of calcium removal from the cytoplasm. So basically it decrease the speed of relaxation, right? So by inhibiting this phospholamban, the thyroid hormone is actually increasing the activity of sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase. Got it? Now this action, this inhibition is also done by epinephrine. So once there are higher amount of epinephrine inside the circulation, that epinephrine is going to inhibit this phospholamban and stimulate this SERCA. It known as the short form is SERCA, SERCA, sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase. Calcium ATPase pump, and enhance the relaxation. By enhancing the relaxation, it will stimulate the lusitropic effect. It is known as a positive lusitropic effect. Got it? Now what is the effect on respiration? Now thyroid hormone, by increasing in the metabolic rate of the entire body, it will increase the utilization of the oxygen and ultimately it will increase the production of the carbon dioxide. Now both these two, increasing utilization of the oxygen and increasing production of the carbon dioxide, ultimately it will stimulate the respiratory center. and increasing the rate and depth of the respiration. Right? Very simple thing. Now what's the effect on GIT? The effect on GIT is that thyroid hormone will increase the secretion of the digestive juices. Right? First thing it will do is increase secretion of the digestive juices. More amount of the juice is present for digestion. Second one is increase the motility. So if there is a more amount of thyroid inside the circulation in hyperthyroidism, it will ultimately leads to diarrhea. In hypothyroidism, the opposite will occur, it will lead to constipation. See, I am enumerating the what will happen in the hyperthyroidism and what will happen in the hypothyroidism in the all the effect. So because I would like to give you the advanced exposure of the hypothyroidic state and hypothyroidic state, right? So once you learn all these things, you can easily write it down what will happen in applied aspect, what will happen in hyperthyroidic state and what will happen in hypothyroidic state. Now the next one is the effect on protein metabolism. Now in physiological amount, what the thyroid hormone do, it has an anabolic effect. So it causes increased protein synthesis and causes positive nitrogen balance. And in higher concentration, the thyroid hormone do the opposite. It has a catabolic effect. It leads to negative nitrogen balance, muscle weakness and creatinuria will occur. You see, I used the figure from the Captain America. In that movie, both the person is same. So you can easily identify that in physiological amount, it will causes anabolic action. In higher concentration, it will causes catabolic action. The exactly opposite. Now what will happens to the muscle? So in the muscle contraction, now in slight increase in the thyroid hormone, muscle will react with vigor, muscle will be responsive more. In marked increase in the thyroid hormone, what will happen? Muscle become very weak because of the excessive protein catabolism that we discussed in our previous slide, right? And what will happen once there are lack of the thyroid hormone? It causes muscle become sluggish and the relax slowly after the contraction. That relax slowly after the contraction, that condition is known as sluggishness of the muscle. Now the most important thing is this one, the tremor, the muscle tremor. See, the most characteristic sign of hyperthyroidism is the fine muscle tremor. Got it? There are other tremor you guys might be familiar with. One is the resting tremor that is occurred in the basal ganglia disease, the Parkinson disease. Next one is the intention tremor that will occur in cerebellar disease. Now the tremor that we are going to learn today is the fine muscle tremor that is happens in the hyperthyroidism. Now tremor, how you can identify the person having tremor? Tremor can be observed by placing a sheet of the paper on the extended finger. You have to just make sure that person extend his finger and you have to put a piece of paper. If that piece of paper is vibrating then or shaking, then the person having fine muscle tremor. Now how or why this fine muscle tremor will happen in the thyroidism, hyperthyroidism? The answer is the simple. It is because of increased reactivity of the neuronal synapse. Correct? There is one comment is actually asked from this our discussion. In hyperthyroidic state, there are higher amount of muscle excitability. You need to write it down this simple word because there are increased reactivity of the neuronal synapse. And why there is increasing the reactivity of the neuronal synapse, we are going to discuss in our next slide. Why the person get tremor in thyrotoxicosis. See, thyrotoxicosis is the condition in which there are higher amount of thyroid hormone T3 and T4. As we already know that this T3 and T4, the thyroid hormone will stimulate the synthesis of the adrenergic receptor, and this higher amount of adrenergic and noradrenergic effect on the target cell, there are higher amount of sympathomimetic activity, and this sympathomimetic activity will ultimately leads to the muscle tremor. Now how this increased sympathomimetic activity will lead to the muscle tremor? The answer is like this. Whenever there is an increase in the epinephrine for a prolonged period of the time, it will causes muscle spindle to desynchronize. Now what is the muscle spindle? let me give you a very brief idea what is the muscle spindle. You are going to learn in detailed fashion in once you learn the CNS. Muscle spindle are basically the eye of the muscle, got it, or the sensor of a muscle. So what muscle spindle will do? Muscle spindle will give the exact information about the muscle position to the CNS. So muscle spindle is going to give information to the higher center about the actual positioning of the muscle and actual status of the muscle, how which portion is contracted, which portion is relaxed. So this muscle spindle, there are epinephrine receptor is present over the muscle spindle. Once this epinephrine receptor is more in amount, as this condition will happens inside the thyrotoxicosis, more amount of epinephrine will be attached to the muscle spindle, and by increasing the epinephrine action or increasing sympathomimetic action, muscle spindle become desynchronized. Got it? And this thing will ultimately leads to tremor. This is the reason why the person, when the person is in fear or in anger, there are higher amount of adrenaline will be released and the person starts shaking. The reason is nothing but simple. It makes muscle spindle desynchronized. That's why when we have fear or when we are angry, our hand or we are going to get shaking, right? Our hand gets shake. Now the last one is the effect on sleep. Now in hyperthyroid subject, what will happen? See, thyroid hormone, what it will do, it will increase the CNS activity, is exhaust the CNS and it will exhaust the musculature. So exhausting effect of the thyroid hormone on the musculature and on the CNS, ultimately person is going to feel tired, right? But because thyroid hormone also excites the synapse, so it is basically more difficult for person to get sleep. So the person remain tired of the entire day, though he or she might need sleep, but he or she might not able to sleep because of the increased synaptic synaptic activity. Got it? This is all about the effect of the thyroid hormone over the body. Next time when we meet, we are going to discuss about the regulation of the thyroid hormone, mechanism of the action of the thyroid hormone, and lastly the applied aspect. Thank you.